enjoyed the weather that we've had so far, and I think we're going to get a bit more. It is around 7 p.m. ish in the United Kingdom. Of course, it's daylight. So I thought, you know what, I'll do a nice little live stream. I'll do a little update on current Bitcoin status, because obviously the way it looks like, as if, you know, it looks like the market wants to bleed out. And of course, you've got a lot of social media, you've got a lot of mainstream media and other crypto media as well, kind of talking about how we could be potentially bearish and head towards the 90k. But I wanted everybody to kind of understand what the charts are saying, because I don't really care too much about what everybody else says. I only care about what the charts say. So for me, I thought, you know what, I want to drop this, and hopefully all of you guys actually understand how it works. Because I know, look, whenever we get the hype, you guys just fly off, right? It's hilarious, right? How you guys just end up flying off. But here we are. You know, it looks bloody, and of course we are expecting volatility. To be honest, I have mentioned this on Discord or YouTube, I can't remember, I think it was on the last video. If not, I think I have mentioned it on Discord about the situation where, look guys, as we move up the lower time frames, we're going to get a lot of volatility, right? Especially on the daily, on the 12 hours and the 3 days and whatnot. We're going to see volatility. Why? Because we were overbought based on the stochastic RSI, MACD, whatever you want to call it, right? That was the situation. So you got to think of what the situation was at that time and what impact it would have. So as we were going green, 2%, 3%, 4%, 5%, and we went all the way from 76,000, bottomed out at 76,000, all the way to 97,000 something, that created a situation where we should be a bit pessimistic, right? We should be expecting volatility. We should be expecting a pullback. Now, are we expecting a big pullback or a small pullback? That's what really matters. So for me, the way I looked at it was, look at the higher time frames. I know some people have mentioned the monthly. Monthly is not important. In fact, last month we closed okay. We closed green, so that was good. This month we're too early to even, you know, take that into account, right? So it's insignificant. We don't really want to care. We don't care too much about that. The dailies have been very hot, right? So we do take that into account, and we say, you know what, because it's been so hot, we could expect volatility, and that's exactly what we got, a bit of volatility. Of course, we need to get above the $98,000 level. Do I think we're going to test it again? I believe we are, right? I believe that the test is not over. We'll definitely go there. Jack the lad, my brother, what's up, my brother? Yeah, you too, my brother. Nice to see you here. So the way I'm looking at it is, look, we are going to hit that 98k once again, right? We're too close not to try that. All the FUD, all the BS, forget that, right? Remember, half of these social media posts and whatnot that we get is usually paid crap, right? It's just paid nonsense, right? So, you know, keep calm, stay grounded, don't fly off. And especially when you hear this FUD, just shut your ears, close your eyes, whatever you need to do, right? You know, honestly, because they don't help you emotionally. They don't help you, because perspective is very important. You need to have perspective in what's happening. So when I kind of, you know, zoom out, right? So I'm kind of looking at the middle ground, not the daily, not the monthly, you know, not even the 2 week right now, because I'm only focusing on the weekly, right? I'm looking at the weekly RSI, and I'm excited because we had a downward trend building for last few months, right? Which was bearish. We had that, and that basically came true. We went down, we bottomed out 76k, and then we started to shoot back up again. And so far what we've done is we've invalidated, so listen to me carefully, we've invalidated the downward trend, and we've created a positive forward moving upper trend now, right? So this is where we got the rejection, and we're kind of testing that downward trend line all over again, which is great for us, because if we kind of find resistance, or sorry, support at that downward trend line, we just go up. So that means it's another leg up, right? It's like a tick, right, going up. So we're getting the green tick mark. So that's what I'm looking at. That's how I'm looking at it as well, and I'm focusing on that. So the weekly RSI is positive so far. We're about to find the support. Support could be at 93k, could be at 92k, could be 95k. It really doesn't matter, right? As long as it's above 90k, we're good. We're in the green, right, guys? Remember what I said earlier on, some few months ago, maybe I've said this as well. I know a lot of you guys don't remember half of the stuff, but remember what I said. as we progress over time and as BTC price increases in valuation, right? As we see it go to 90K, 100K, 200K, 250K, right? Remember, when you're at 10K, when we were down at 10K, 1% was like almost nothing, right? But now 1% would be a lot more, right? Or 10% would be a lot more. Think about it this way, right? So 10K, 10% was like 1K, right? So now we're at 90K, 10% is 9K. So the moves are going to be a lot more significant. So when we see a 2, 3%, 4% pump, right, it's not pumping, it's just a few percent here. But as we grow, those numbers are going to get bigger, right? So we've got to focus on this as well. So that's how you got to look at it. Just don't look at the how much it increased, right? When we say 76K to 97K, right, it's like a $21,000 increase. Actually, it's not. If you look at the percentage, it's not that much, right? It's not that much. It could have been worse, right? So focus on that. And that was a beautiful correction, by the way. That was a fantastic correction. So I am expecting this 98K to be invalidated, and then we push forward. In fact, I have a trade, and I've mentioned this before as well, around the 98K. To be specific, it's 98,470. That's where I'm actually starting my trade. So that's what I'm looking for, and I want to push forward from there. And then, of course, from there, you know, sky's your limit, right? Because we need to go back and test the 109. And again, percentage wise, if you look at it, right, understand what I'm talking about. If we go to 98K, to get to 109K, it's only a few percent, right? It's only like 10%, 11%. So it's not much, right? So we can hit that previous ATH, right? All-time high. We can hit that. Once we hit that, then we're going to start pushing towards another new number, right? Hopefully, right? Unless we get rejected, that's a different story. So if that happens, we're, you know, it is what it is. So other than that, look, currently BTC is sitting at 94,900, even though we bled down today. Minor. So don't worry about those. Don't panic about those. For me, these are all positive. As long as we've got positive indication, I'm good, right? I actually feel and believe, right, looking at the chart the way I do, right, we have enough momentum, enough green power, right, enough dollars backing BTC right now by the institutions and whatnot, and all the whales and all the other manipulators out there, right, that it will push forward. There's no ifs and buts. It will push forward, right? So we are going to test that 98K, whatever happens. And if we fail 98K, then yeah, but we haven't tested it. So we still have enough momentum, enough room to go towards there. And I believe that we definitely have at least a week, 2 weeks left. And that's a bold statement, right? But I believe 2-3 weeks still remaining in the, of momentum still remaining in the market for it to push us forward. Now, of course, this is May, right? So technically 3 weeks is like kind of end of May, but I'm not saying it's over, right? Because it's not over until it's over, right? So you got to understand this. So as long as the charts are giving us positive signs, we're good, right? If the charts start to heat up, then we've got a bit of a problem. So as we were green last few weeks, I was a bit pessimistic, and I did kind of mention to you guys, I said, guys, you know, maybe you guys want to put some stop losses in this and that. Now, if those of you who understand or have a strategy or use the stop loss, right? If you did use a stop loss and say, for example, you stopped out at 96K, 97K, just for example, right? You stopped out, you got your alert set up, right? And you stopped at 97K because the market has bled out a little bit. Happy days. You took your cash and then you got an alert, right? The old market's bleeding out, and then you open your thing up, whatever you use, right? And you see it at 93K or 94K, you say, you know what, I'm going to buy again. Well, you bought it cheaper, right? You got 97K in the bank and you just bought it for 94K. That's not a bad deal, right? You know, that's a nice little percentage, right? Enough to go and treat yourself to a lovely little lobster dinner or whatever. So that's how you got to treat this. Perspective does matter. All right. So remember, we are a lot more fearful, and I always repeat this, right? We are a lot more fearful when we see the market being green, right? And when the market is red, we are not fearful. That is when we are excited, right? So this is when you go. But of course, everything at this stage of the market, right? Because remember earlier on when we did hit that threshold, I said, guys, this is the beginning of the end. It could end any day. Now I'm saying it's the end of the end, right? Which means it's definitely going to end, right? Whether it ends at the end of this month, middle of this month, next month, we don't know, but it's definitely going to end. But are we going to see these 60, 70, 80, 90% dumps, right, that we have seen in the past? I doubt it. I don't think we're going to see that. But because we just did a nice little 20, 25% correction, we've got room to push forward. And if this thing pushes forward and we actually smash through the 109, the hype will come back. And if the hype comes back, then we have potential to hit, you know, the 150, 200K, you know, that kind of a serious number. We can potentially hit those numbers and potentially even take the market with the manipulators and all the whales and all the institutions backing it now. We can potentially drag this right until the end of the year, which is going to be absolute insanity. So that is the reality. So perspective does matter, but also be safe, right? Have a strategy. Don't trade stupid. Use stop loss or whatever strategy you've got. Please use that. Don't be a fool and be like, oh, BTC, I'm going to hodl for life. Don't be that fool, because I used to be that fool. Hence why, from experience, I'm telling you not to be that fool. If there are other assets out there, if you're playing alts, whatnot, and this and that, play carefully, right? It's not worth it, especially meme coins and this and that and other alts, right? It's not worth it. And also, talking of alts, right now, I don't see any significant indication telling me an altcoin season is starting. Yes, there are one or two alts pumping the life out of themselves, right? But what I've noticed, that's actually community led. So these are community pumps, right, happening right now in individual coins, and they're kind of moving off. So these are like pump and dump groups, whatnot. So don't fall for that trap. When you see it pump, leave it, right, unless you're already in it. So if you do make significant gains because you already bought it cheap, then yeah, cash out. But don't leave assets lying around, because remember, we've got close to 50,000 coins coming out every single day, right? Meme coins and everything together. It's the wild west right now. So there are no significant coins. And of course, when you look at the blue chips, they are the best ones, right? And I'm not seeing performance in the blue chips, right? I'm not seeing that. A lot of people are holding them from a higher price, so they haven't even recovered what they bought it for recently, like last year, whatever. They haven't even recovered that. They would have if they used the stop loss. They would have if they decided to take profit. But a lot of people are expecting a 2x, 3x, 4x, 5x, 10x, for God's sake, right? They're expecting those, but they are not, how would I say, they're not trained enough, right? Just don't have that willpower. They just don't have that mindset, right, to buy the bloodiest of the bloodiest and sell the greens and sell off and take your initial out. They just don't have that, because everyone's chasing the big one, right? The Lambos, the Raris, right? That's what they're chasing. Don't chase it. Look, I'm driving a Mitsubishi, right? And I'm happy with my Mitsubishi. It drives, it starts, it drives. What else do you want, right? So sometimes perspective definitely matters. Don't go chasing it. You're better off cashing out as much as possible, taking as much of your powder, right, your green paper, whatever you want to call it, your pounds, the dollars, off the table as soon as you can, because that gives you an opportunity to try and play the game longer, right? Because once you're in, you know, you got a problem, because now you don't have more money. And even if you did have more money, you're constantly throwing money at it. That's not investment, that's stupidness, right? So the best thing to do, there is a time, by the way, there is a time when I'll say go all in, right? Sell everything and go all in. And that time is usually when we are at the bottom of the market, in the you know, beginning, like the bottom of the bear market. We haven't hit the bear market, right? We've had runs, we've had bull runs in a bull market, right? And you know the difference between a bull run and a bull market, right? Runs are usually what goes up, what's happened right now. Run up, run down, right? We can have a bull run, a bear run inside a bull market, and we're still in a bull market. We have not, BTC has not invalidated the bull market. Stocks and shares have kind of been invalidated at some point, but that's more political than anything else. But crypto has been going strong, right? Especially BTC has been going strong. So think about it that way, right? But when I look at alts and everything, and I don't see them anywhere near their all-time high, things are a little bit worrying. So just be cautious. That's all I'm saying, because this was an opportunity, right? This was an opportunity. People make a ton of money on BTC. Everybody made tons of money because people bought it like 15K, 15 and a half, 16K, below 20K, right? So everyone made money, at least 4x, minimum 4x, right, on their money. So after making 4 or 5x, right? Some people have even made 5x. After making 5x, that money profit that was made that should have been transferred into the alts, and the alts should have pumped. That just didn't happen. That just didn't happen. Instead, the market decided to bleed out. So be cautious. That's all I'm saying. Nothing else. Stay safe. And of course, none of this is financial advice, guys. Do whatever you want to do. It's your money. Go and burn it by all means, right? But just understand that, look, there are some times we got to be really, really grounded. We have to understand, cool-minded. Of course, there are hypes. We're optimistic, right? We want BTC to go to $250,000, fine. But at the same time, if the market gives us opportunities to take a little bit off the table, right, which we could potentially even lose, because I'll give you a good example. You bought it at, say, I don't know, 70K. Let's just say 80K. You bought it at 80K, market pumped to 97K recently, right? Pumped to 97K. And you stopped out at 96K, for example. You stopped out at 96K. And then you decided to go back in and buy it at 94K. I mean, today we went to 93K. You went to 94K, you bought it. That's a $2,000 difference, right? You go back in again, but you have a stop loss, right? And your stop loss percentage could be another $2,000. So the money you've just made, you could potentially end up losing that, but ultimately you don't lose your money. You see what I mean? So it's all about perspective, psychology, how you think, what strategy you use, and absolute discipline. You can't just trade without having absolute discipline. I know a lot of you guys haven't seen me on the lives that often, and I know even now, Jack the Lad just came to say hi, and there's not many people here. In fact, there's literally no one on the live right now, but that's not my intention. I did this because YouTube will take hours and hours to process a video for whatever reason, probably my network connectivity or whatever, or sometimes they just don't like me, so they just do that. So I thought, you know what, I'll drop this for you guys. At least you get all the information and hopefully some advice as well, brotherly advice, nothing more, no financial advice here. And yeah, see where it goes. And of course, I've been kind of diverted. I'm doing other stuff, so you know, just working elsewhere, doing some hard work, grinding, let's put it this way, grinding, because I want to make as much money as possible. And I've actually gone into different kind of opportunities. That's the right word to use. I'm not plugging anything, I'm not telling anyone anything, but I have gone to different opportunities. I have shared some of this stuff on Discord and whatnot. There are a few people who have shown interest, that they want to join me on my ventures and whatnot. I will let them know, but at this current moment, I'm busy with what I already have. I just don't have anything fresh, hence why I haven't mentioned anyone, I haven't called anyone, I haven't said anything. But yeah, I mean, as soon as I have something, I'll let them know. But I've just been really busy, and then off chance, right, like one after the other, and then I've got requests from here, requests from there, friend, and this and that. So I'm kind of doing all sorts of bits and bobs around here, and yeah, just trying to save as much money as possible so I could do bigger things. Does that make sense, right? YouTube doesn't pay me, so it doesn't matter. So other than that, guys, I hope this video is informative. Thank you very much. For those of you guys who are going to watch this later, smash the like button, hit the subscribe if you haven't already, and please do share. Let's grow the community. I think look, if the community grows more, if I see more engagement, of course, you guys know, right? The more engagement I see, the more I'm there. And of course, I probably won't see engagement because I'm doing a horizontal video. Now, on a horizontal live stream, you get less views. I know that, but I wanted to do this because I don't want the trolls here. Hence why I didn't have random viewers popping in. But usually you get a whole bunch of trolls and whatnot on the verticals, right? But I wanted to avoid that. But other than that, guys, thank you very much for coming to the show. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you guys, even though no one's here. I'm literally talking to myself and sharing the information. So far, I feel market's got enough momentum to carry on for at least another week or two, if not 3 weeks, probably even longer. But we will decide as we get closer to the time, and we'll focus on the stochastic RSI and see what they do. So far, the RSI is testing that trend. The lower trend that we had is kind of testing it back, even though it has broken past. That's a good positive sign. Let's see what the market does. Other than that, remember, there's another thing as well, by the way. We did have a death cross confirmation. So if you have watched it to now, we had a death cross confirmation a few weeks back. Hence why I'm a little bit more cautious right now, you know. But even then, when I see the momentum, when I see the hype, when I see all of that, I know that we have enough chance, and especially the charts are confirming that. So that's a good thing. So keep an eye on that. Alts, as I said, be careful. Other than that, like, share, subscribe, and I'm going to catch you on another one very soon. Adios, my amigos.